We often get tricked into creating more content for ourselves than we need, or into staying in the content creation longer than we need. And there are a lot of reasons for this. And I want to talk today about 4 specific reasons behind this feeling of in the weedsness of being trapped in content creation. And it really is born out of the very beginning of building a business, especially if you're bootstrapping your business. Usually, content is one of the first things we do when we create a business. We build this habit of content creation early. Some fields more than others, but often, especially if you're in a service-based business, content creation is a huge part of your early marketing. It's how you meet people, it's how you get your ideas out to the world, and it's how you really just find your niche. And as often the sole owner of the business and often the sole team member, you're on your own creating the content. So it is a habit that you build right out of the gate. Maybe you're starting a blog. Maybe it's a YouTube channel. Maybe you're on social media all the time. Wherever you're creating content, you're building that habit. Every time you create a new piece of content, you're cementing that habit as something you are responsible for. And that makes it really easy to get stuck in content creation. Never minding all the fears that come around outsourcing content, it just feels comfortable to create content. It's a place where you started, and it's a place that you can come back to anytime things feel uncomfortable or like they're changing in your business. So one of the reasons we end up getting tricked into creating content more than we need, or just staying in that role longer than we need, is because it's comfortable. It's somewhere we started, and it's somewhere we can come back to. Second reason, it's often our primary way of connecting to our audience. If we're on social media, if we're putting out emails, however we are putting that content out to the world, it's usually the first place that our audience connects with us. And so it becomes a place that we want to spend a lot of time. Enter the endless Instagram scroll and whatever other mindless activities come up as a consequence of this. Yes, connecting to your audience through content can be hugely, hugely beneficial. But again, because we start doing it so early, it often can become a way in which we are not intentionally engaging with our audience. And that actually ends up costing us time and energy and taking us away from some things that we really could be better using our time on. But it's easy. It's comfortable. Scrolling through an app on your phone where you can like a bunch of photos and send a few DMs feels more comfortable than maybe submitting a request for a speaking opportunity or connecting with someone who feels maybe a little out of reach. We go to what's comfortable, and engaging with our audience in these ways is often comfortable. Not necessarily bad. There are very positive outcomes that can come out of connecting to your audience in these ways, but the intentionality behind it is important. Rather than the mindless scroll, making sure that you're using your social media platforms or other content platforms in an intentional way really makes a difference. Next, content is where we show off our personality. It's where we really are allowed to be ourselves a lot of the time, especially if you run a personal brand. But this really goes for all brands because it's so important to give a peek behind the scenes. And we can get tricked into creating more content than we need because this is a place where we feel like we can kind of be ourselves, step out from behind the curtain a little bit. And that's liberating. For some people, it's scary. So for some people, it's liberating. But as the habit gets built, it becomes an easy place to go. And finally, it allows us to feel productive or busy, even when we're not necessarily doing the things in our business that yield the greatest reward. We like to feel busy. At least I like to feel busy. There's an intrinsic reward to I'm doing something. Even if it's not making progress, at least I'm doing something. And content is an easy thing to fall back on. It's an easy thing to make us feel like we're being productive and busy, even if it's not necessarily the best place to be spending our time and energy. Now, all of that's not to say that, you should just abandon content altogether. It has its place, but it goes back to that intentionality, and it goes back to having a strategy around your content and knowing whether you're in a position where outsourcing your content makes sense for you and your business, and then having a plan to do it if you decide, yes, I want to do that. Everything in your business is around intentionality. It's around this idea of making the strides that take you the farthest and allowing those strides to sometimes be a little uncomfortable, and recognizing when you fall back on things that are comfortable but not necessarily moving your business forward. So when it comes to content, we love content. We love how content can help build the foundation of a business and continue its growth over time. But it's important to make sure that you're not spending more time in content than you need to be, and that you're not using it as a place of comfort when there are other things in your business that might require your attention that could lead to greater growth. And if the content is important and you need to be spending your time and energy elsewhere, that's when it's time to look at outsourcing the content so that you can continue to connect to your audience, continue to showcase your brand's personality, and continue to grow without being the person who all of that content is relying on, without being your own bottleneck, and without losing out on those high impact activities that you might be better off spending your time and energy on. So this is a tricky one because content's comfortable for a lot of us. But once you really clearly delineate which pieces of content really require your time and attention and what that looks like, it will free you up to do so much more and to know what you can outsource, what you can get rid of, and what you can continue doing.